Welcome to the Create More Intimacy podcast. I'm Elisa Stoddard, and I help men stop chasing sex and start building real connection so they finally feel close, connected, and wanted again. You've been trying, really trying. Maybe you've read all the books and listened to podcasts and even had hard conversations, and still, she's distant and cold and critical. And it feels like nothing you do is ever enough. And you are exhausted. Because how much more are you supposed to give? I want to say something here that may feel like a punch in the gut, but it also may be the most hopeful thing I could tell you. You're not the problem, but you're not off the hook either. Let me explain. It's really easy to look at your partner, especially when she seems moody, irritable, or checked out, and think, if she would just be nicer, or if she would just appreciate me, or stop snapping at me, this would be so much easier. And honestly, you're not wrong to want those things. You do deserve love and respect and connection and affection. But here's the truth most people won't say out loud. You can't build that by waiting for her to change first. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not here to tell you this is all your fault. It's not. Relationships are complicated. There's history and stress and unmet needs and old patterns at play here. But when things feel stuck, the most powerful move you can make is to stop asking, why is she like this? And start asking, how am I showing up? What is my role in how we got here? Let that just sit for just a second. What part of what's keeping you stuck is how you've been waiting? Waiting for her to soften, or waiting for her to see you, waiting for her to make the first move. What if you're the one that needs to go first? You might be thinking, but I do everything. I work hard. I don't yell. I'm here, aren't I? And that may all be true. But emotional leadership isn't just about being present. It's about being engaged, being aware of your own reactions, being willing to take responsibility for the energy you bring to the room, even when she is not doing the same. That's the difference between being stuck and becoming the man who knows how to lead love back into the relationship. That's where we're going in this episode. Let's talk about why it's so easy to get stuck in this cycle, where you feel that she's the problem and you are just trying to survive it all. Because if you're being honest, there's probably part of you that wants it to be her fault. I mean, not out of malice, but out of self-protection. Because when it's her fault, you don't have to feel like a failure. You don't have to admit that you're confused about the situation. You don't have to risk doing something vulnerable and still getting rejected. And blame feels so much safer than hurt. And it also keeps you powerless. The longer you stay in that place, that waiting, resenting, blaming, proving place, the harder it is to come back to each other. And I know this not just from coaching men on this for years, but because I've lived it too. There was a time in my own relationship when I realized I was holding back. I was scared of being hurt. And because of that, I never went fully all in. I wasn't mean, I wasn't distant, but I was self-protecting, and I was careful with my love. And that made a big difference, even if I didn't want to admit it. One thing I decided to do, not to change him, but for me, was to start writing down one thing I appreciated about him every day. Just one sentence, one small thing that I noticed. And I will be really honest with you here. There were some days that were really hard to find one thing that I appreciated. And so sometimes I would just put something like, I appreciate that you are in our family, or something very non-committal. And anyway, I did that for a full year. At the end of that year, I gave him that little notebook as a gift. But what mattered more than giving him that gift was how that practice actually changed me and how it shifted how I saw him. And I softened in places that had gone rigid. It helped me feel more connected and more open and more aware of what he was doing, more present in the relationship, because I wasn't waiting for him to be different. I was choosing how I wanted to show up. And that's the kind of shift that I want for you. That practice changed our marriage, and I want that for you too. But not for the reasons you might think. Not because your wife is perfect and I'm taking her side. Not because you need to be a doormat. But because your experience of your relationship changes the moment you take ownership of your role in it. It's not about taking all the blame. It's about reclaiming your power. So what does it actually look like to take ownership in your relationship? I'm going to talk this through slowly because this is probably new or something that you don't practice very often. And I also want to say that this isn't about like doing it perfectly or right or doing everything right. It's about building awareness and choosing to lead emotionally, even when it's hard and your instincts are saying that you want to defend or retreat. And for most men, that's not something anyone ever taught you how to do. Let's start with a few common patterns that I see with nearly every client that I work with. She gets upset, and you either try to fix it or you get quiet. And that leads her to pull away. And so you wait and you stew, and then maybe you explode or check out. And she says something critical, and immediately you feel attacked and explain all the reasons that she is wrong. Does that sound familiar? That is not a character flaw. That is emotional self-protection. But it also keeps you in a loop where nothing changes. So let's flip the script here. Here are some ways that ownership can sound and look in real time. Scenario 1, you feel unappreciated. The old habit, you pull away and you shut down and you tell yourself it's not worth the effort. Taking ownership, you name it gently. I know I don't need a gold star, but sometimes I feel like what I do doesn't matter. And I know that's on me, but I wanted to be honest with you. Scenario 2, when you get triggered or activated during an argument. The old habit, you go silent, or you escalate, or you throw out a sarcastic jab. What does ownership look like? You pause and you say, I am feeling defensive right now, and I want to keep talking, but I need a second to get my head back on. Scenario 3, when sex feels off or disconnected. The old habit, you stop initiating and you internalize the rejection. You start wondering what's wrong with you or with her. When you take ownership, you gently name what's missing without blaming. Hey, I miss feeling close to you, not just physically, but emotionally. I don't want this to be transactional for either of us. Scenario 4, you realize you've been avoiding that old habit. You distract yourself with work or hobbies or scrolling on your phone, and you stay busy just to avoid dealing with that tension. But when you take ownership, you say, I've been noticing that I avoid bringing things up when I'm unsure about how you'll react, and that's on me, and I want to change that. The pattern here isn't perfection, it's awareness and responsibility. That is what changes the game. And if you're thinking, yeah, but why should I go first? And I hear you, you're tired, and you wish that she would engage, and you're frustrated. And maybe you've been trying for years, quite honestly. But if you want real connection, You have to be willing to lead, to create safety, to go first, even when it's not fair. Because leadership isn't about fairness, it's about creating something better. And that's what ownership actually looks like. Not carrying the whole relationship on your back, but choosing moment by moment to show up as the grounded, emotional version of you. Here's what I want you to know. Taking ownership isn't about proving your worth. It's about stepping into it. It's not a punishment for being the man. It's a power move for being the kind of man you actually want to be. And once you do, the relationship starts to shift. No, it won't change overnight. She may not meet you with warmth right away. In fact, she may not even notice at first. But over time, when you keep showing up grounded and calm and open and emotionally present, she will start to feel it. My experience also tells me that she will mistrust it. And that is just a symptom of that you've got a lot of water under the bridge. The dynamic between you softens. The arguments maybe don't escalate as quickly, and the silence doesn't last as long, and the distance begins to close. And even more importantly, you feel better about it. Because you're not just reacting anymore, you're leading, and you're proud of how you showed up. You didn't win or fix her, but you stayed present, and you stayed steady, and you stayed aligned with who you want to be. Again, that changes everything. For your relationship, for your confidence, for how deeply you can love and be loved. It might feel impossible right now, but I promise, it's not. This is the work that I do to help men every day. And not because they're broken, but because they're ready to stop staying stuck. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't need a 5-step plan even. I'm not even going to give you that. You just need one thing: willingness. Willingness to be honest with yourself. Willingness to lead instead of waiting. Willingness to show up differently even when it's hard and you think you're the only one in it. So here's a question to take with you. What's one thing you've been blaming her for that you're now willing to take ownership of? Just one thing. Take a minute. Now, you don't have to tell her yet. You don't even have to make it a whole big thing. Just start with you. This inner shift, this is where intimacy starts to rebuild. If you want help doing this work, real lasting change type work, I can help you with that. That's exactly what I do when I work with my clients. We walk through learning to lead with emotional maturity and untangling old patterns and creating connection instead of conflict, and finally feeling respected, appreciated, and close again. You do not have to stay stuck. You just have to stop waiting. So when you're ready, you know where to find me. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Create More Intimacy, a podcast for men. If this spoke to you, share it. Leave a review. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode hit home, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more men find the support they need. And if you are ready to get help or take the next step, you'll find the link to book a free call in the show notes. I'll see you next time.